Well, Anthony Byrne is the federal member for the seat of Holt in southeast Melbourne, where the incident occurred. He's also the deputy chair of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Intelligence and Security. He joins me now from Canberra. Mr Byrne, what's been the reaction in your community to this event, and is there the potential for things to turn ugly?
Thanks, Leigh, for having me on the program. I would characterise the response in my community as shock and horror. But not just shock and horror from people that are not Muslim, but shock and horror from people across the board, regardless of their faith, regardless of their race, colour or creed. I can also say, Leigh, that we've had communications with Islamic community leaders in my electorate. They are doing everything they can to help. They've met with AFP officers. There's a meeting at the Hallam North Mosque tonight. I'll be meeting with them on Friday. They are doing everything they can to get to the bottom of this as well. Do
you think that there's the potential for this to turn ugly?
You know, the Endeavour Hills community is a very united, strong community. And, you know, the symbolism of the police station is quite palpable. And it's ironic and horribly perverse that the events happened there because there was a petition that was circulated to get that police station in the first place. Many, many Muslims signed that petition because they wanted to feel more secure in their own community. We share these concerns across the board. There is the potential, but what I guess I'm calling for is that the best of Endeavour Hills is the area that I spent a lot of my time in, the area that I lived a lot of my time in. I know a lot about Endeavour Hills and its people. They're great people. They're people that are filled with resolve and purpose, and they're people that come from all walks of life, all races, colours and creeds, and they live together in harmony.
Do you believe that you have a problem with radicalised Islamic youth in your area?
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that. This individual who has been identified by the authorities, and I've received briefings today on this particular individual, is certainly the first time that this has come across my radar. I could tell you about, in my experience, Leigh, of a young Afghan man of that age, was a young man that lived next door to where I used to live in Endeavour Hills. And when I used to fly to Canberra, one of the things that I was very heartened about was the fact that that family, including that young man, would be keeping an eye on my family.
Do you know anything of this young man who's been involved in this incident or his family?
I don't know anything about this young man whatsoever, but I know that leaders from the Islamic community in my area have reached out to the family, and I'll be briefed by them when I see them on Friday.
Do you think that there's anything more that can be done to guard against this type of a lone wolf attack?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure if I'd characterise it as a lone wolf attack at this point in time, Leigh. It's early days in terms of really disseminating what happened, who this young man was talking to and how this event came about. But I do think that what shouldn't happen is that those wonderful people that I know, whose mosques that I walk into, that lived next door to me, shouldn't be demonised. They shouldn't be, and they shouldn't be, you know, your story had a comment made by a senator who I didn't know was an expert on security talking about burqas. Ill-informed comments don't add to either the investigations that are taking place at this point in time or the very community harmony that we need in my area at this point in time.
As I mentioned earlier, you're the Deputy Chair of the Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security. Is there a focus in our police and intelligence services on the radicalisation of young Muslim men in Australia and how it can be stopped or reversed?
There's a lot of attention, Leigh, that is being placed on the role of ISIS and its impact on radicalising people in the community.
But radicalisation has occurred before the existence of ISIS. Radicalisation has been an issue going right back to pre-9/11.
Yes.
So have we had programs in place addressing that for the past decade and a half?
Well, there have been, in the previous government, de-radicalisation programs and community harmony programs, if you want. And I think if there's one thing that I would say, Leigh, is that we've got to do, rather than pull ourselves apart, which is what ISIS wants us to do, we've got to come together. And if there are any further programs that we can develop to encourage and include people, regardless of what faith they might be, that is going to significantly reduce the chance of radicalisation.
Anthony Byrne, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Leigh.